Everyone to Aurora's Committee of Adjustment meeting. I will start by introducing the committee members and staff. I am the committee chair. My name is Tom Plamondon, and the remaining members are as follows. Steve D'Angeli, Linda Deringer, and David Mango are with us this evening. And out of our way for the meeting this evening is also our vice chair, Daniel Lajeunesse. The secretary treasurer is Prashanthi Manoharan, and the planner this evening is Matthew Peverini. The council committee secretary is Linda Bottas. And I don't think Anna's with us this evening. Okay. This public meeting is being audio and video recorded. It is also being conducted virtually through the use of Zoom technology. Your name, address, comments, and any other personal information are being recorded according to the Municipal Act and the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. This will help our town clerk prepare accurate minutes and to create a record that is available to the general public, including on the town's website. Questions about this collection should be directed to the town clerk. Please be advised that the report being considered tonight is available on the Town of Aurora website and through staff at the town's planning department. Should you wish to receive notification of any decisions of tonight's meeting, please complete the appropriate form available through town staff. Owners and agents will automatically be notified. For the application, because there is only one this evening, that will be considered tonight, the following process will occur. I will briefly outline the purpose of the application, and then the applicant or agent will be given the opportunity to make a presentation. However, one is not required. It is the applicant's decision whether they wish to speak or let the application proceed on the merits of the information as received. Presentations and deputations are limited to 5 minutes as much as possible. Following any comments from the applicant, I will invite members of the public who have an interest in the application to come forward and address the committee. Those members of the public who wish to speak must clearly state their name and address and must provide this information to the secretary treasurer. Should you wish to obtain a copy of the notice of decision, please complete the appropriate form, again available through the secretary treasurer. Members of the public are reminded that text comments are not permitted during the meeting and that they will not be noted in any manner or at any time. Each individual may only speak once on an issue, and once discussion has commenced in respect of a motion, no further presentation shall be made. If you require any technical assistance with your presentation, please let me know. If you wish to speak and are currently following this meeting on the YouTube feed, you will need to turn off this feed and join the meeting live, as there is about a 2-minute lag between the YouTube feed and the live feed. Please ensure that all questions and or comments are directed through me as the chair, and if relevant, I will request the appropriate person respond. It should be noted that the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to any question or comment should the committee feel that it is appropriate. So with that, we'll start our meeting for this evening. I'll look to the committee for approval of the agenda for this evening's meeting, please. Stephen, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda for this meeting session on March 10th, 2022.
Thank you very much, Steve. Seconder, please. Linda, thank you very much. Calling the question, all in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. Ask members of the committee if there are any declarations of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. And there are none. Wonderful. Next item on the agenda then, adoption of the minutes. So I'll ask for adoption of the Committee of Adjustment meetings of February the 10th, 2022, and that would be meeting 22-02. Stephen, go right ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the Committee of Adjustment meeting minutes of February 10th, 2022, meeting number 22-02, as previously circulated by staff.
Thank you very much. Seconder, please. Yes, thank you, Linda. And call the question. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. All right, presentation. There's only one application before the committee this evening. And I hope I am pronouncing this correctly. I believe the name is pronounced Targat. If I've got it right, I hope that's close enough. And I apologize if it isn't. At 6 Bailey Crescent. This is minor variance MV 2022-05. I'll remind the committee that there is a related planning application. It is a site plan application, 2021-13. So the applicant or owner is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to facilitate the construction of a first story and second story addition to the existing dwelling. The following relief is being requested. A, section 24.497.3.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum interior side yard of 3 meters beyond the main rear wall of the adjacent dwelling. The applicant is proposing a second story addition, which is 2.3 meters or 7.5 feet to the interior property line west side. And B, section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum interior side yard setback of 1.2 meters or 4 feet. The applicant is proposing a side yard deck, which is 0.8 meters or 2.6 feet to the interior side property line, again, west side. Planning comments. With regards to the intent and purpose of the official plan, a site plan application is currently under review by planning staff where matters of massing, design, etc. will be addressed. Staff are of the opinion that the requested variance will facilitate the development of second story and first story additions that are compatible with and in generally keeping with the low density residential character of the neighborhood. With regards to it meeting the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, staff report indicates that the owner is using the existing dwelling to construct the proposed additions, which currently have a 1.5 meter or 5 foot setback on the east side and 2.3 or 8 feet setback on the west side. The owner is using the existing dwelling and its setbacks to construct the addition. It is important to note that the owner is not building the additions beyond the existing main rear wall of the adjacent dwelling. Staff, therefore, are of the opinion that the variances meet the intent of the zoning bylaw. With regards to it being considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, staff are of the opinion that the requested interior west side yard variances for the proposed second story and side deck have minimal impacts to the existing neighborhood and abutting properties. Staff are of the opinion that the proposed variances will facilitate the development of additions to the existing dwelling that is compatible with the character of the neighborhood. Staff note that the property is subject to a site plan approval, and staff have included this as a condition of approval to ensure that the final design and compatible and sympathetic with the existing character of the neighborhood. Staff consider the variances desirable for the appropriate development of the property. With regards to the variances being considered minor in nature, the proposed side yard setback and new side deck are considered modest in scale and are not anticipated to result in any negative impacts to the surrounding properties or the neighborhood. And as such, staff are of the opinion that the requested variances are minor in nature. Other additional comments that have been received and circulated through various departments or agencies. The building division, the preliminary zoning review was completed on November 18th, 2021. I suppose that should read as opposed to 2022. Engineering division comments provided stating that a site grading plan prepared by a professional engineer or qualified engineering professional demonstrating that the existing drainage pattern shall be maintained and any changes in the grading due to the proposed site work shall not cause any adverse impacts on adjacent neighboring properties be submitted to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning and Development Services. All roof drains are required to discharge into splash pads or grassed areas. Residential roof leaders / downspouts shall not be connected to any sewer or drain. Operational services comments that the site plan show tree protective fencing around the front yard tree in accordance with town standard TP-6 tree protection zone, and that protection fencing be installed and maintained throughout the construction period to protect the tree and the root zone from construction damage and compaction. Operational services, no comments received. Central York Fire Services, comments provided stating no concern with the proposed application. The Region of York, comment providing no concerns with the proposed application. LSRCA not commenting on the application as it is located outside the area governed by OREG 179-06. And Electra have reviewed the proposed variance application and have no objections to its approval, and have included their standard comments. And I'll just note public correspondence. One written submission was received in opposition at the time of the writing of the report, which was provided to the members of the committee. That would be an email that was sent and received dated March the 3rd by Susan Williams at 23 Bailey Crescent. There was a second that was received post the preparation of the staff report dated March the 8th. And this was sent by the owner of 15 Bailey Crescent. I believe it's a Jason Garrich. So I wanted to make sure that all members of the committee and the applicant understand that there was a second one received March 8th. There is an appendix with conditions. I believe there are 4. So with that, I'll ask if the owner applicant is with us this evening and wishes to make a presentation. And I'll just ask them to turn off or turn on their mic, please.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
I can hear both of you. So who will be going first? And whoever is going first, I'll just ask you, and welcome. And I'll just ask you to state your name, your address for the record, and your status with regards to the application.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and the committee members. My name is Farhad Abdul Wahabi, Principal Architect of Far Architect. On behalf of the owner, I'm representing 6 Bailey Crescent for this meeting.
Good evening, welcome. And do you wish to make a presentation this evening, sir?
There is no presentation. I appreciate for all the explanation that you had. Thank you, the staff reports and everything that they said. We accept that one, all recommendation that they provided. As you mentioned, we have two variances that in our opinion is minor. And so we ask the committee to grant the approval. The first one is because the nature of the project, which is just exterior wall exists, and we want to build it on top of that one. And just the 0.6 meter of the wall has to be set back 0.7 meter, which is not logical. And the second one, which is the inside setbacks for the deck, it is exist. And even if we cut that one back for a portion of that one, again, it is exist. If I guess that is minor in my opinion, and we'll appreciate someone, the owner and myself, asked the committee to grant the approval.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And the other individual, I believe it's Samantha, it's teacher, correct?
Yes, thank you. I
Welcome.
thank you very much, and I would like to thank you and Farhad. I have nothing to add. Thank you, Farhad.
Terrific. And I missed, and I apologize, introducing Ishita Sanji is also with us from the town. My apologies there, Ishita. And I do not believe, Prashanthi, there is anyone here from the public who wishes to address the committee. Am I correct? And your mic.
Sorry.
There we go.
We're all working now. Through you, we have no members of public registered to delegate.
Terrific. I'll just ask the applicant with regards to the two written objections to the application. Was there any comment that you wish to make on either of these concerns that have been raised by members of the public?
No comments, based on what they've written on their papers, that the email that they forwarded to the committee, they said that the monster homes, the monster walls, that this is the words that are not ever, use it, based on the zoning, it's approved for 2-story building, and the owner has this, things that they can apply for. So it is not something that is extra request that an owner can ask for his property. So, and these two minor variances, we followed in, because it was 1 story, there was no comment, no problems, no, beyond the zoning requirements. When it's get to 2 stories, then it is, comment, and that's out of the boundary for bylaws. So, and it is not logical to set it in 0.6 meter off, just 0.7 meter off the wall setbacks to make a niche at the corner. It's not, I cannot say not possible, it's possible, but it is not logical. And, right. And anyhow, I respect their, what they said. We design somehow that respect the neighborhood, especially based on the design that we provided. And we provide something that is matched, in our opinion, it is matched with the neighborhood. It is not bad, it's not a monster, actually, just to show that one.
Right, and I think both comments that we did receive have centered on the question of precedent, and precedents have been set hundreds of times with similar type applications that have come before the town, and others that have just developed because they fell within the requirements of the bylaws. So, yeah. All right. I'll.
Anyhow, I appreciate your time. Everything.
Oh, no problem at all. I'll turn to the committee then, if there are any comments or questions from members of the committee. See David, yes. David, go right ahead.
Through the chair, my question is to the owner, specifically about the site plan, the attachment. We see that some numbers were not very clear, and I just want to have confirmation from the owner. If staff, maybe they're able to show, it is the drawing number A1-01. It has a town stamps in red, I think it's red, green.
Site plan.
Yeah,
So Prashanthi, can you pull up the
site plan
site-
and the zoning information drawing? Yeah, that one there. So specifically, if you would zoom in into the areas about the deck there and the wall. So if you could show me, basically I'm trying to confirm the dimensions which are shown there. Show me the dimensions for the deck. For the deck itself, showing the 0.8 meter setback. Can you show?
The bubble is showing the 0.86. If you push it a little bit up, please. No, not this one. I want to say, yes, here. Do you see the bubble number 2?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, this is 8.6 on the left-hand side. Left-hand side of that one. Yes, this one. If you see 8.6 is existing deck.
Okay. Yeah, I saw it, but as I say, I see 0.86 and I couldn't see 0.80. So that's why I just want to confirm. So it seems to be a bit wider than what's shown on the report. Okay.
Okay.
The other one, what about the wall, the 2.3 meter?
The
I
2.3
believe-
meter is exactly in here, okay? You can see from here to the wall is 2.36. P1 at MS is just right close to that one. Do you see that? Inside the room.
I don't see, can you?
Inside the room. Inside the room.
So Prashanthi, if you take your
Yeah,
point
that's it, yeah.
there.
2.36 P1 is from the fence, from the property line to the corner of the building. It exists.
Okay, what about if you go to the left, Prashanthi, to the left? So there are those measurements. Yeah, if you stop there, you know where. Yeah, there's like
2.44.
is it foundation wall to be cut up to 150? Can you read that for me so I can understand? And there's some measurements there.
You know, it's 2.44 is to the foundation wall at the corner on the northwest corner of the building in here.
Okay.
And it
What
is not
about-
changed.
Okay, what about the other one, 2.36? What is that about?
This one is from here to maybe the hydrometer is something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you can see from the drawing, it's not clear. So I was wondering where are the measurements? It's clear to me. Thank you for that.
No, thank you so much for concern. I appreciate that.
I have a question to the staff. Basically, it's not it's about the conditions. Condition 3 and 4, the recommended conditions. I can see that from condition number 2, you are indicating that the plan has to be prepared by a professional engineer or qualified engineering professional. But for condition number 2, number 3 and 4, there's no mention about any requirements of any professional to prepare those plans or drawings. I usually, typically, you tend to ask the landscape architect for something to do with the trees protection, fencing, things like those. So I'm just wondering if you could confirm that you provide the appropriate direction to the applicant in terms of which professional should prepare these drawings for acceptance or approval by the town.
Through the chair, we have provided the accurate direction to the applicant. The reason that condition 4 is not as elaborate as it typically is because there's only one tree on the property located at the front. And there's an ongoing site plan application where we are reviewing that, and it's captured through that process. So we've simplified the condition here And condition 3 is also being reviewed through the site plan process as well. So we kept it as is. So that's why the direction and conditions are provided as such.
Okay, thank you. That's all what I have.
Thank you, David. Stephen, I thought I saw your hand up earlier there.
Yes,
Go right ahead.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, no questions, really, comments that I have to address the concerns raised by residents in the community. I think that you know, the applicant's representative has clearly stated, you know, it is a right here to build a second story on this building. I note that this application is complying with the height requirements, the gross floor area requirements, and I think when we talk about the precedent, some of the applications that we've seen in the past, they have exceeded, you know, significantly side yard setbacks, tried to build a lot closer to the neighboring properties, have often exceeded the height requirements or looked to exceed the height requirements, and in multiple cases look to exceed the gross floor area that is permitted. And in my mind, what is relevant here is that none of these factors apply. What we do have are, and actually I do have a question, and I'll just confirm this with staff through you, Mr. Chair. Both of these variances that are applied for today relate to existing non-compliant situations, I believe, in the existing footprint of the bungalow that exists on the property, and primarily related to the deck that is already existing on the property. And through you, Mr. Chair, if I could just confirm my understanding with staff.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct. It's an existing condition.
Thank you, Matthew. And so just to conclude my comment, Mr. Chair, through you, in response to, I think, the concerns raised by the residents, we are not, should we approve this application, I don't believe we are creating any new situations that do not exist today. And so that, to me, is a critical consideration in this case. And I think this committee, just as a comment, takes you know, looks rather carefully at variance applications that require exceptions to height and gross floor area, and really any variance. But in my mind, this one is an existing situation, and I think what is being applied for is minor, and the rest of the concerns by the residents really are not relevant in this case because they are permitted by the existing zoning. So that would be my perspective, and I am in support of these applications. And I would also note that characteristics such as massing and fitting into the stable neighborhood in terms of materials and construction will be dealt with at site plan review and are not aspects to be considered at the Committee of Adjustment. So
Correct.
Those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, that was also going to be part of the summary that I would have offered as well. So thank you for getting that on the record. Linda, any comments on the application?
I did have lots of comments, but Steve's just said them all. I got nothing left. Everything you said exactly. I found that these letters of complaint are irrelevant really to what the additions are going to be. They're just voicing their opinion against monster homes. This is not the same sort of deal. They just don't want their neighborhood to change. I think they're irrelevant in this situation altogether. That's it. I really don't. And everything else Steve said, I agree with, because it's a second story addition on an existing footprint. It's not going to make any difference. And if the deck moves a little bit here or there or taken away, it's all in the existing footprint of the building anyway. So I have no problem with it. The opposition's not relevant, so it's all good with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. If I can just clarify, so, thank you, David, you brought it up when we went through the site plan. And you did point out the 0.86 meters setback to the edge of the deck. And I'll just ask the applicant just to confirm, is that the actual number that you're going to be trying to respect there is 0.86?
That was existing, Mr. Chair, and we kept it as is, but we don't really, on behalf of the client, I say that we don't care. We can just, set back it as, to 1.5. We take the first portion out. It's not really relevant to our requirements. That's there because it was exist. If there is any problem, we can take it out.
Well, no, the reason I bring it up is because the variance, the way it reads, and I know that this is standard practice for staff, they round those numbers up or down. And so the actual variance that you're applying for is 0.80. And am I correct, Matthew? Typically staff round those numbers up. They don't go to the second decimal. Is that correct?
Maybe
Through the chair, that's typically correct, as the zoning bylaw is drafted to 1 decimal point.
Right. So if we approve this, they could go to 0.80 if I'm reading this correctly. And obviously there'd be a difference between the site plan that we're looking at being 0.86 versus the 0.80.
Through the chair, yes, it's only an issue if the relief sought is greater, or if
Correct.
they're seeking greater relief. So anything less is okay.
Right. Okay. So, the reason I bring that up to the applicant is not that you're asking to go to 0.80 because of the, yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to cover that up, and just if there was any misconception about,
No, correct. Correct.
what the degree of the variance that you're asking for versus the degree of the actual based on the drawings. Terrific.
I appreciate
And I agree with my fellow colleagues on the committee. Looking at it, I certainly don't have an issue with the 0.86, or if you had to, which I don't think you do, had to go down to 0.80. And I do note that just looking at it and driving by the site, it looks like you would need a set of stairs anyway to bring it up to the level of the deck at the rear of the property, which therefore, you can either have one point of entry across the back or something down the side. I think what you're showing makes sense. And so, with that, I personally, I don't have a problem with it. And I guess the only other thing is the other aspects of concern that were raised are beyond our ability to comment on with regards to material finishing and other concerns that would be dealt with through site plans. So, having said that, I'm again in total agreement with my colleagues, and I have no problem with this. So with that, I'll ask for a motion on the application. Linda?
Through you, the chair, I move that the application MV 2022-05 at 6 Bailey Crescent, Aurora, be approved for the minor variance as indicated in the staff report, subject to conditions in Appendix A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll look for a seconder on the motion. David, thank you very much. Calling the question, all in favor? And that carries unanimously. So with that, thank you both very much for being with us this evening. And Staff will advise you the next part of the process, which would be to get you through an appeal period and then continue working on your site plan application. But thank you again for being with us, and I'll bid you a good evening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate for your time. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Okay, so that concludes the applications for this evening. Probably one of our lightest agendas in a long time. So with that, I'll ask if there are any items of new business to be brought forward at this point. Seeing none. David, nothing, I didn't, no, okay. I'm just gonna follow up, and I was wondering if maybe Matthew might know. Matthew, the last meeting, and I don't recall if, I guess if you were there, that we talked about the policy to notify local area residents on applications. There was a motion that was brought forward by Councillor Wendy Gartner on the January 25th, 2022 meeting. And I did have some discussion with Anna Enriquez, and she wasn't aware of it at the time. And I'm not sure that what was happening was this was going to be reviewed by staff and a report going back to council. I don't know if you have any update on that. It was certainly pointed out to us in the letter that we received from Jason Garrich at 15 Bailey Crescent, and he asks, why were we provided such short notice? Which again speaks to the issue of notices going out to the public. And I believe in Wendy Gartner's presentation to council, there was some discussion about the Committee of Adjustment notices and how they were circulated and what have you. Have you got any update or any information on status of a report that's going to be going to council on that issue?
Through the chair, I do not. I can ask Prashanthi if she does, but if not, we'll happily get you that information as soon as possible.
Okay, Prashanthi, I know you were at the meeting, we were talking about it. Do you recall if anything has been happening on that?
Through you, I don't have an update about the report, so we will certainly follow up after the meeting and we'll fill everybody in, but I can speak to how we currently provide notice for Committee of Adjustment applications. So starting off with the ratepayers, we send an email notification 14 days prior to a meeting that's held. We have one ratepayers association for the entire town, and then we have the specific ones like Regency Acres, Town Park, and the Rays. And so if I think, for example, I think 6 Bailey is within the Regency Acres. So 14 days prior. Yeah, so 14 days prior to the meeting, we send an email to their circulation email. At the same time, the Committee of Adjustment website is updated with a notice of application. And as for mailouts, we also send a notice of application in the mail 14 days prior to property owners within 120-meter radius.
So and that's prescribed in the Planning Act under provincial legislation, and that would be, as far as I'm concerned, just is what the town has been following. So there's no basis, if that is being done, for any member of the public to raise concern. I noticed that in the resolution that was passed by council, it was asking for report to staff back to council with a policy that includes how area residents will be notified of road construction projects including when they are delayed. So again, nothing to do with Committee of Adjustment. A process for notifying residents when a Committee of Adjustment appeal is received in their neighborhood. So if there is an appeal, obviously someone who may have spoken against an application and an appeal is received, how that is communicated back to them. And then finally, notification to residents when developers request changes to already approved site plans. And again, that is, again, something unrelated to Committee of Adjustment. The other one, and we have talked about this at our meetings, is when we have an application that's deferred and we don't know if it's going to come back or when it's going to come back. And if it does come back, how the residents are notified. And when something is deferred, there is a process where the residents are advised, if I'm not mistaken.
For you, I can certainly confirm that we are following process. So for example, if a motion is passed during a meeting to defer an application, a notice of deferral is provided to the applicant for their records, and if anybody requested a notice of decision, then they're provided with the notice of deferral. Whenever an application is rescheduled to come back, and that's really hard to tell with timing because it's up to the applicants to revise materials and resubmit as required, but when it is rescheduled, we will send a new notice with the new materials, new meeting details in the same manner. So, and I just wanted to backtrack. What we currently practice is we provide notice 14 days prior. However, as per the Planning Act, we are only, for minor variance applications, we're only required to do a 10-day notice. And for consents, it's 14 days, but just to be on the safe side, we do 14 days. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. Every time something is scheduled, we provide notice in the mail and we post it on our website.
Yeah, and I mean, the agenda goes out and the revised staff report is there. And if somebody knows because they were in attendance at the meeting that it's been deferred, they will know. Now, I usually say, please keep an eye on the town's website for this item coming back, as typically what I do as chair. But honestly, yeah, I'd really be interested in hearing if there is a report, and would love to receive a copy of that report. I'm sure other members of the committee would as well, when it is ready to go back to council, just to see if the town is actually going to go above and beyond the Planning Act and what is already doing. So that's really, this letter actually twigged when I saw it, to circle back with staff and just see if a report was due to come back and when. So if you wouldn't mind looking into that, that would be appreciated. So that's all I had under new business or other business. So I don't think there is anything else unless anybody wants to comment on what I just brought up. But seeing none, I will ask for adjournment. Steve.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn this session of the Committee of Adjustment.
Thank you very much. All in favor? I don't think it needs a seconder, Linda, but I'll take your second.
I'll still go. I'm doing it.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.